Hello children, so welcome to AIMS India's online classes. Today from physics subject friction topic we are going to discuss. So our today's concept is children regarding fluid friction. So actually what are these fluids? So we know that there are three forms of matter. So one is solids, where molecules are closely packed like this. Another kind of matter is liquids. Molecules are somewhat distant from each other. And third form of matter is gases. So molecules are loosely packed. So like that, we have three kinds of matter. We will observe mostly three kinds of matter in our surroundings. They will be in the form of solids, liquids, gases. Solids, liquids and gases. So here fluid is the common name given to liquids and gases. So the liquids and gases together, they are called as fluids. Liquids and gases together, they are called as fluids because they are having the nature of flowing from one place to another place. So they are having that nature. So that's why they are called as fluids. So this fluids also exerts friction. Actually the question is the friction exerted only by solids? If the question is like this, so our answer will be no, because it is exerted by all forms of matter. So not only solids, so frictional force also exerted by liquids and gases. The frictional force exerted by liquids and gases together is called fluid friction. So when a boy is running, he will run against the wind. He has to run against the wind. Means the air tries to stop him. He has to overcome that resistance or opposition of the air. So the resistance or opposition shown by the wind or air is called fluid friction. It is also called as drag force. So the fluid friction is also called as drag or drag force. So for example, so when an aeroplane flies in air, when an aeroplane like this, it flies in air. So it faces some resistance. Here resistance means children, resistance means opposition. Opposition to motion is called resistance. When it is flying forward, it experiences a resistance in the opposite direction, which tries to stop it or which will reduce its speed, which will reduce the speed of the aeroplane. So this air resistance or opposition is called friction by air. Or we can also call it as fluid friction or sometimes drag. So the aeroplane which is flying in the sky will be experienced by fluid friction or will be under the influence of air resistance or air drag. Or you might have observed boats like this, speedboat. It is called speedboat. When the speedboat is moving in the sea, it faces resistance from the water in the sea, which will reduce the speed of the speedboat. So this frictional force shown by the water is called friction by water or fluid friction or drag. So aeroplane means it will experience friction by air. Speedboat means it will experience friction by water. But either air or water, both are considered as fluids. So in both cases, we will come across fluid friction. fluid friction. So this fluid friction is affected by some factors. So one is speed of the object. More the speed of the object, more will be the fluid friction. Less the speed of the object, less will be the fluid friction. A speedboat will face more friction compared to paddle boat. In the first picture, this first video, whatever boat you are observing here, this is called as paddle boat. Means with the help of these paddles, we have to move the boat. Paddle boat. Here, paddle boat speed will be less. So that's why in this case, less friction is involved. But whereas speedboat, which runs because of steam engine or electric speedboat, because of that, here speed is more. In this case, speed is more. So friction will be more. So friction is affected by speed of the object. If the speed of the object is less, there will be less friction. If the speed of the object is more, there will be more friction. So if you compare paddle boat and speed boat, the friction experienced by speed boat will be more than the paddle boat because of the speed. Next one. It also, another factor influencing fluid friction is shape of the object. If the shape of the object is streamlined, what is streamlined, children? Pointed from front like a bird. If the shape of the object is streamlined, then it will experience less friction. If the shape of the object is not streamlined, then it faces more friction. Here, if you compare a truck and a car, here the front part of truck is not that much pointed compared to front part of this racing car. So that's why this truck will experience more friction. This car will experience less friction. Why? Means this car is more streamlined than the truck. This car is more streamlined than the truck. So because of more streamline, it experiences less friction. Truck will experience more friction. So friction also depends on shape of the object. So truck will experience more friction compared to the racing car. So this is the main purpose. That's why these aeroplanes are streamlined like birds, because the birds, the front part will be sharp, pointed. Front part will be like pointed portion. It will have wings and it will have tail. So while designing the aeroplane, our scientists, what they have done means, they have observed the nature and they have taken the example of bird, how the bird is flying, what is the mechanism behind that, they have observed, and same bird-like features they have kept in the design of aeroplane. So bird is made by the nature, aeroplane made by the man, but while designing the aeroplane, they have taken the example of bird. The aeroplane structure is similar to that of bird, so that's why these kind of structures like aeroplane can fly into the sky. So we cannot fly a bus into the sky. With bus-like design, we cannot fly in the air. It is highly impossible. So for making it fly into the air, it should have structure like a bird, not like a bus. So shape this streamline shape, it plays a very important role in the movement of the object. So see, it is also having wings, it is also having tail, it is also having pointed portion in the front. So same features like bird it is having, aeroplane. Next, one more factor affecting fluid friction is size of the object. Size of the object. If the size of the object is more, friction will be more. If the size of the object is less, if the object is less, friction will be less. A ship will face more friction than boat. So what is the difference between ship and boat, children? Boat is a small structure which can carry 4 to 5 people like that. But whereas ship can carry thousands of people. You might have listened about the name Titanic. Titanic ship. It's a very big ship which can carry thousands of people at a time. So because the ship is a very large structure. Because of its large shape, large structure, it experiences more friction compared to small boat. So the friction experienced by ship is more than boat. Why? Means because of the shape, because of the size. Ship size is more friction. Boat size is less friction. Next. So this fluid friction also depends on one main thing which is called nature of the liquid. Nature of the liquid. If the liquid is more viscous means gum-like nature, like a gum, more sticky nature. Gum, or we can call it as sticky nature. STICKY, sticky nature. If the liquid is more sticky, more thicker, there will be more friction. Like honey. Like we can take the example of honey for viscous liquid. Like honey. Viscous liquid. If the liquid is less viscous and thin, like oil, less viscous and less thin, there will be less friction. If you compare water and air, water is thicker than air. So that's why there will be more friction offered by water compared to air. So that's why aeroplanes move faster than ships. Because aeroplanes will be flying in the air, that air friction is compared to water friction experienced by ships. So the fluid friction depends on the nature of the liquid. So what is the main nature? Viscosity. Viscosity. Viscosity means sticky nature. And one more thing, density. It also depends on density. Viscosity, density, on these features it will depend. So movement in water, if you compare honey and water, movement in honey is somewhat difficult compared to water. If you compare water and air, movement in water is difficult compared to air. Like that, the friction depends on nature of the liquid. The friction depends on nature of the liquid. So next. So why it is important to reduce fluid friction? So we have to reduce fluid friction. Why? Because fluid friction reduces the speed. The fluid friction, it reduces the speed of the vehicle. If there is less friction, vehicles will move faster and the transportation time will become less. We can complete our works in faster manner. So that's why we have to reduce the fluid friction. We have to reduce the fluid friction. That is one reason. And this fluid friction increases cost. It reduces the efficiency of the vehicle, increases the cost of running vehicle with more fuel consumption. because more fuel is required to overcome the fluid resistance. When the vehicle is moving in front direction, when the air resistance is more, to overcome this air resistance, this vehicle has to consume more fuel. For less distance, it has to consume more fuel, which increases the cost of maintenance. So for decreasing the cost of maintenance, we have to reduce fluid friction. We have to reduce fluid friction. So next. So how to reduce this fluid friction? How to reduce this fluid friction? So fluid friction can be reduced by streamlining the shape of the vehicle. Already we have told. Front part, making it like a point end. It is called streamlining. So this is done by making it pointed from the front like a bird. Also providing wings for vehicles like aeroplane, we can provide wings. If we arrange these structures, it will help in reducing air resistance, increasing speed and efficiency of the vehicle. Because of decreasing of air resistance, speed will increase, efficiency will increase, fuel consumption will decrease, cost of maintenance also will be decreased. So how to reduce fluid friction means by making the shape of the object streamlined shape. So like streamlining of aeroplane, like bird, streamlining shape of aeroplane, streamlining of boats, this front part you can observe, pointed end, this front part, pointed end, streamlining of boats and ships, or car, racing cars are some luxury cars, streamlining, celebrities, they will make use of these cars so that they can move fast. So this streamlining of cars, these are all, in this way we can reduce the fluid friction. Okay children, what we have learned today? Today we have learned about fluid friction children. So actually what are fluids? Liquid and gases together called as fluids. So is friction exerted by only solid children? No, it is also exerted by fluids, and it is called drag force or fluid friction. So example, when aeroplane is traveling in air, it will be opposed by air resistance. That is called fluid friction of air, fluid friction by air or drag by air. When the speedboat is moving in water, its speed will decrease by water. So that is called fluid friction or frictional force by water or drag. So what are the factors affecting fluid friction? Speed of the object. Speed of the object. If the speed is less friction. If the speed is more friction. Or shape of the object. If it is pointed, more pointed, less friction. If it is less pointed, more friction. So that's why aeroplanes are streamlined like the birds. One more factor, size of the object. If the size is more friction. If the size is less like boat, less friction. So next, nature of liquid. If the liquid is more viscous, more thick, more sticky in nature, more friction. Less viscous, thin, less sticky, less friction. Water is thicker than air. So friction by water is more compared to air. So why it is important to reduce fluid friction, children? Because fluid friction reduces speed. So that's why we have to reduce fluid friction. Fluid friction increases cost by more fuel consumption. So that's why we have to decrease fluid friction. So how to reduce fluid friction? By making the objects streamlined shape. Means what is streamlining shape? front part to be made pointed, and wings to be arranged if necessary. Okay, children, that's all for today. So thank you for watching our video, children. Please subscribe our channel and press the bell icon for receiving latest updates. You can also visit our website, children, for previous classes, quizzes, worksheets, activities, English classes, coding classes. Thank you, children. Have a good day.